What's going on, guys? It's your boy Tyreek, Kingdom Diplomat Podcast, episode 47. Wow. The start of a new year, or the perceived new year. Hope you guys are having a great first 12 days already. My gosh, the middle of January is technically here, or virtually here. But I'm going to get started, guys, in about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So what I would do is either go use the bathroom, go ahead and go do that. If you're new here for the first time, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe, because I assure you, you'll never come across a podcast like this. Well, I take that back. It'll be rare. Let's just put it like that. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much. Go tell your next door neighbor, go tell your friend, your family. I'm gonna get started here within the next 60 seconds, guys. Next 60 seconds. All right. All right. About to get started here. I said 30 more seconds. I'm gonna give you about 30 more seconds to go. Got some old school tunes on back in the 90s. All right. Let's go. Shout out to Zach. What up? What's up? Welcome to episode 47. 47. Can y'all believe that? We just approached across the threshold of 2026. Man, I am jacked. I am pumped. Yes, I am. And I hope you guys are pumped. If you are not, you have tuned in to the right channel. 100%. If you've been following me all these 47 since last year, February the 3rd of 2025, when I kicked this off this historical, magnificent, amazing channel, part of my calling. And I'm here to drop some gems to you guys. Just a quick announcement. Well, a couple of quick announcements before I delve into this because it's not going to be a long podcast. The first and foremost is I'm going to be working on my first book this year. Boy, that I'm telling you, boy, I've been thinking on that for some time. It's going to be off the chain, I promise you. So I'm going to be making it digital. Obviously, at some point in time, I may even get it published so you guys can read it. For those of you who like to pick up books, I recommend that. That's some of the best thing to do is just go into a secluded place, have a book, open it up, something that's positive, something that gets your mind working and asking questions and giving you great information, the right information, understanding and wisdom. So that's going to be this year. That's the plan this year. So that's one of my priorities also too. Second thing is if this is your first time to Kingdom Diplomat podcast, welcome King and Queen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button. That way the AI that's in the background playing will send you more of my stuff. Go ahead and subscribe, obviously. And send this to your friends, family, send this to your foes, send this to everybody, man. I'm telling you, the best kept secret, it's not me, it's actually the things that are inside of me, okay? And I'm here to divulge a lot of that. Again, if you're new in here, go back and look at some of my previous podcasts. Why? Because it's a common thread that's woven in between all of my podcasts. There's a foundation. What I was talking about last year, okay, 10 months ago, 11 months ago, is still the same thing, you know, and that's how you can read into somebody's character, okay? Finding out who a person truly is if are they still the same? And I'm not saying growth-wise as far as mental. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about as far as are they still saying the same thing that they said a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Why? Because this channel is all based on law-based principles, okay? Principles mean first law, okay? And one thing I learned about principles, guys, and I'm sure you know about this, they have no respect of a persons, okay? Are you listening to me? All right? So if I were you, I'd get a notepad and pen out. I may get up on the board, but as you can see, the word that I have behind me, I put that there for a reason. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end, okay? So let's go with this. Let's get into this. I put in the title, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? Some adults physically, but children mentally, right? And probably even spiritually. And I was just talking to actually one of my neighbors today, and he was talking along that line. No, it wasn't today. It was probably within the last couple of days, but there was this guy who was actually 70 years young, and he was saying as he was growing up, he said, as a little kid, I can't wait to be an adult. And then he gets to be an adult, you know, and he says, I can't wait to hang around adults. And when he got to be 20-something, he said the same thing. When he got to be 30s, same thing. 40s, same thing. And he said he was 70. He said, I'm still looking for the adults because they seem like they can't get it figured out, saying that he couldn't get it figured out. And I am very partial to that because I was just telling my neighbor today that I started figuring a little bit of stuff out in my 30s, just a tad bit. And then when I got a little bit older and hitting 40s, and I was like, oh my gosh, just a little bit more. So the whole premise of this statement is the more you learn, okay, about these laws that I'm about to get into. And I may not say law, I may not say principle, but these are things that you can jot down that I've learned, that I've been coached on, I've been mentored on. Some of you may know my background. I've been mentored by multimillionaires for several years, learned a whole bunch of stuff, read a lot of books on leadership, people skill books, um, and how to apply them in my life. Some of you know some of my background and some of the things that I've been through. But what's going on, Nugget 5? Nugget 1-5 is that? Nugget 15J, what up, what up? Welcome. Glad to have you. Shoot a text, my link to a friend, family member, tell them to hop on also too. So this is going to be a great, impactful nugget, gold nugget, silver nugget, packed full of stuff. Okay, great stuff. Okay, and hopefully I can package it. I'm praying that I can package this in a way to where you can just take it and apply it immediately, right? Because what's the use of getting right knowledge and you're developing some understanding and obviously not having the wisdom or the application to apply it? You know, I hate stuff like that, right? So, all right. So what do you want to be when you grow up? So I didn't mean that literally. I meant that figuratively, right? Because what I've noticed, as I said before, I just started figuring some things out about some of these laws when I was in my 30s. And I was wondering why, looking back, hindsight's always 2020, unfortunately, is looking back and saying, my gosh, how much time did I waste, right? And obviously everybody's on the clock, right? So that's why we're in this time realm, because we're in this body. But anyway, all right, so let me ask you a question. I don't know about you, but I would say 99% of you, okay, I say 95% of you were asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Okay. Some are asked at 5, some are asked at 8 or 9. And when I was asked that multiple times, and I was like, I don't know, I'm 7. You know what I'm saying? Actually, at one time I said, it was my stepdad, he asked me, and I said a firefighter. And I probably was, you know, second grade, third grade at 7, somewhere around that area. And obviously they probably brought me to the fire department that day, and I probably got a chance to ride the fire truck or something like that, or step into it and toot the horn. So, you know, what do I know at 7, right? I'm a kid, you know, I just want to play marbles at the time, and I want to, you know, eat stuff that is not good for me. You know, I want to climb stuff, jump on stuff, jump off of stuff, break stuff, do all kind of stuff at 7, right? You know what I'm saying? And y'all know what I'm talking about, especially if you have any older brothers, or just, you know, as a boy, right? So I was just a typical boy. So how about this? Why not ask your child, if you have a child, if you're older, you know, in your 20s or whatever, teens, 30s or something like that, why not ask, actually, let me back up. So when you ask that question, what do you want to be? I want you to think about this, guys. What you're doing when they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? That question is very vital. Now, it channels your thinking into, and it narrows it to what, 1, 2, or 3 things, okay? Whether you're 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, when they ask you that question, or whether you have a child at that age. Why not ask, how do you want to live? Right? I wish somebody had to ask me that, right? But what it did, when I learned later on in life, when somebody asked me that, I think it was in my early 20s, I think it was about 23. So I was already kind of beat up by the world, or worn out by the world, you know, all living in all this different, and living in the matrix of deception and lies and all kind of things, right? Very confused about a lot of things. And some of you may still be at that place, right? In your 30s, 40s, and 50s. Well, hopefully I'm going to give you some light, right? Some knowledge, some information, the right light to open up your mind a little bit, to get you to think. Because some of you think that, you know what, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s, you know, life's pretty much over. I'm here to tell you, no, it's not. You know, I'm not going to delve into it right now, but it's not, okay? But anyway, so ask the question, ask yourself, and write it down. How do I want to live? Okay? Ask your niece, your nephew, your child, how do they want to live? Again, so when you ask them, what do you want to do? What it does, so your mind thinks, if you were to look at Google Maps, okay? Just take some time out to look at Google Maps, not now, but at some point, and you see like the satellite view and it looks down on the street. So that's how our brain works, right? You have all these neurons going through these streets and everything and moving at the speed of thought, okay? When you look at a 2 and 3 and 4 year old little child, they move at the speed of thought, right? Okay, they're jumping over here, doing this, jumping back over here. They want to go, they got to use the bathroom. They finish using the bathroom, they want to get something to drink. They want to mess with this, they want to mess with that. They're climbing on this, they're doing this, they want to turn this, they want to do that, right? They move at the speed of thought, okay? So when you ask them what, again, the prison is in the mind, right? So my question to you is that everybody has a prison, okay? It could be a good one or it could be a bad one, right? What are your beliefs? What are you thinking, right? What's working in this software, right? Follow me now. The software, like software works in the laptop or the phone, what's working in the background in your mind, right? Okay? So when you ask somebody what, when you ask a child what are they going to say? Policeman, fighter, lawyer, doctor, engineer, teacher. Those are some of the top 5. Now, here's another question also, too. When you ask some of these kids nowadays, did you know that they say they want to be, this is how much influence, Hollywood and other and media has over people's minds, right? They say they want to be famous, right? And what they're really saying is that, they want people to know them, right? They don't understand, but what they're really saying is that they're saying 4 things. You should write this down, okay? I'm going to go through this for you. The first thing is that they're saying is they want to be recognized, okay? Everybody wants to be recognized. You should write that down, including yourself. Everybody, right? I remember, with our children when they were growing up, they would say, "Daddy, look at this. Daddy, look at me. Daddy, look at this." Or if I had a niece or a nephew or something, "Uncle, look at this. Uncle, look at that." Something of that nature, right? Why? Because innately we want to be recognized, right? Okay, and recognition is good, right? But the most important recognition is self-recognition, right? And that leads into some of the stuff I've talked about before, which is the foundation, the 5 questions. That's the foundation of this podcast. Who are you? Your identity. Your identity is everything. Your image is everything. That's how you operate, okay? Your perception is your reality and how you see the world, how you see other people, how you treat people, right? Your image, your identity, and the source you get that identity from is how you operate, whether you believe it or not, subconsciously, right? And subconsciously is another word for spiritually, right? In the unseen, the things that you can't see, right? The things that's working around, the software that's working, right, in your background, right, of your mind, okay, which is part of your soul, all right? Are you listening to me? All right? Now, so recognition is number 1. Number 2 is importance. Everybody wants to feel important, okay? It's not a novel idea. Everybody wants to feel important, right? Why do you think at the job that you have right now, right? Or if you're in college, right? And you get an A mark, right? And you run home, or you're in grade school or whatever school, sometimes, a lot of times kids would tell their parents, "Hey, I got an A on such and such," right? Because they want to feel important, right? Why do you think marketers, right? Pharmaceutical companies, multinational companies, all different kind of governments, all the commercials and everything like that are all around understanding that people want to feel important, right? So, Coach Bag or this company or Nike or whatever it is, they want you to feel important that, hey, if you wear their product, you'll feel important, right? Why do you think a lot of people wear J's, right? Jordans. I've never had a pair of Michael Jordans before, right? One point in time, I came very close to getting them. I could afford them. No big deal. But I just didn't want my self-image, right, to be wrapped around it, or should I say my self-image wasn't wrapped around a brand of Michael Jordan. And it's sad because a lot of people, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of people, 8.2, 8.3 billion people, you know, their self-image is wrapped around wearing Michael Jordans or not having them, right? Both mentalities are sick, you know. It's what they call mental illness, right? My self-image, my identity doesn't come from that, right? My identity comes from the King, Christ, okay? So, but anyway, so the third thing is being admired, okay? Write that down, admired. Everybody wants to be admired, right? So at the job you've been, let's say you've been there 6 months. Some of you have been there 6 years. Let's say you run a business and you've been doing it for 6 years or 5 years or whatever, right? Let's say you figure some complex problem out. Let's say you figure you got it. You had a good idea. You know, I don't care if you're homeless, living under a bridge, living in the woods. I don't care if you're the head of some hedge fund corporation. I don't care if you're the head CEO of this. Everybody wants to be admired, okay? And when people say, man, that was a great idea, you feel a feeling of admiration, right? That's normal. That's innate, right? That was put into us by our Creator, right? The same way a manufacturer, a Honda manufacturer, or a Toyota manufacturer, or a Porsche manufacturer puts into their specific car, right? And they say, "Ooh, I like that feature from the vehicle that you're driving, your automobile that you're traveling in," right? So we all, at some level higher than others, want to be admired. Okay. The fourth thing is this: appreciate it. Okay. Appreciate it. Everybody wants to be appreciated. So that's number 4. Everybody wants to be appreciated. Okay. Now, yeah. Okay. Sure. If you're LGBTQ, you're welcome also too. Okay. So, all right, appreciate it. All right. Now, you may not like some of the things that I said, but you know what? That's based on the King. Okay. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at him. Okay. But you're welcome. You know, I love everybody, man. You know what I'm saying? I want to warn people of things to come. Okay. I want to empower people who they truly are, who the King created them to be. Okay. Not what Hollywood tells them to be, not what this person tells them to be, what the King created them to be. Okay. And I'm going to get into that here towards the end also too. All right. So appreciating. Okay. Appreciate a person. You should go where you're celebrated, right? If you're at a place where you're not celebrated, right? Don't go there. Okay. Why do you think, whether you're a Muslim and you're a different religion, whether you're a Christian, you're that religion, or I invite all kinds of people, right? Because why? I know those 5 questions about me. I know who I am. I know why I'm here. Right? I know where I'm headed. I got the vision already. That was already put inside me. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, right? While the clock is ticking on my life, right? I know what I can do. I know my gifts, okay? Some of you got one gift. Everybody has at least one gift, right? Some of you got 2 or 3, 4 or 5 more gifts that the King gave you, the Creator gave you, right? The Lord gave you. Why did He give them to you? Because He gave them to you to glorify Him. Okay, but that's a whole nother topic. You'll see. That's what I call potential, right? Potential is very simple. It's hidden strength. It's hidden power, right? It's like dynamite. It's like 20 tons of dynamite, but it hasn't been lit. That's what's inside of you, dear one. Okay, so appreciating. All right. Now, here's the challenge with being appreciated. Okay, I don't think we show it enough, right? One of my businesses, I do a commercial residential cleaning, right? Before I got into that, I don't think I appreciated cleaning enough. People who clean enough, right? Because cleaning is dealing, here's a law. You should write this down. Here's a law. It's called the law of management. I'm convinced that everyone right now is where they are in life financially, and what responsibilities they have or don't have is because the understanding, the knowledge, the understanding, and the wisdom of the law of management. Why? Because it says that in the Kingdom Constitution, okay, called the Bible, which is a government book, right? The King talks about the law of management right there in Genesis chapter 1 and then chapter 2, okay? So it says He didn't allow anything to grow, no trees, no bushes, no grass, no nothing grew until the king, Christ, put mankind, which is the species, that's all of us that came out of one man, just like a seed, right? I don't have a seed in front of me, but picture in my hand a watermelon seed, right? Everybody, I think a lot of people like watermelon, okay? Some people like bananas seed, okay? And in that seed, right, in that acorn seed that I have right here, or that watermelon seed I have right here, let's just say imagine it, use your imagination. In that watermelon seed, there's an image, right, in that seed, okay? It's a converting mechanism. When I plant that seed in the right environment, so it can get the chlorophyll, so it can get the moisture, right? There's a watermelon patch, right, of hundreds of watermelons, okay? Are you following me? Okay. So how do you think we got here to 8.2 billion, okay? I didn't calculate this, but I got this from a very good source. I was told there's probably about 15 billion people since Adam. Again, Adam is not the name of the first man. He's actually a title and represents mankind. Male plus female is mankind, the species called mankind, okay? Now, with that being said, hopefully you wrote them down. I'm going to read them again. So you got recognition, you got importance, you got being admired, and you got being appreciated. Those four things right there, okay? So my question to you is, how do you want to live, okay? And are you satisfied where you are right now financially in every single area of your life, your relationships, right? Right? Are you satisfied with that? The job that you're at, okay? The business that you run, right? Are you doing the righteous things, right? Can you look people in the eye? Or do you look down towards the ground because you're ashamed, right? Maybe you lie a lot, right? Maybe you've been lied to, right? Maybe you don't trust people, right? Because chances are because you don't trust yourself. Are you good for your word, right? Okay. Who are the people that hang around? What are the things that you're listening to? You know, these all play in the part of how you're going to live, how you're living right now, and how you're going to live in the future. I assure you 100%, you can take this to the bank, you can take whatever you want to take. However, you can believe this or not, don't believe it. I don't know. I'm living proof of it. Okay. The thinking or the philosophy, the ideology that you live based upon that's working in your software system, in your mind, is where you're going to end up 5 years from now, right? But I can assure you this, you're either growing, you're going up, or you're going down, dying, right? You're going up, you're going down. Look at the stock market. You ever looked at the stock market and the graph and everything? It's usually always going up, slowly or fast, or you're going down, right? So that's part of the law of nature that the Creator put in, the law of nature. Things are either growing or they're dying, okay? So that goes with the thinking, all right? Because thinking makes it so. Here's another scripture in the Kingdom Constitution, Government Constitution. Remember what I said, that Christianity, the Lord, the Creator, didn't create Christianity. That was something that the pagans came about through Catholicism, okay, in Rome. Okay, you can go look at it, Inquisitions, the Crusades. I don't have time to get into the history of that, but you can get into that yourself. You can figure that one out yourself, okay? When God in the flesh came in the form of Jesus, or Yeshua, which is his real name, Yeshua HaMashiach, he didn't call his disciples, which means disciplined followers, which means students, which is an academic word. He didn't call them Christians, okay? So the Bible is not Christian-based, okay? But that's a whole nother topic in itself. It's a government, okay? Isaiah 9, 6 through 7 in the NIV. It's a government, okay? Matter of fact, while I'm here, why don't I just go ahead and read that to you? Isaiah 9, you want to write that down so you can look at it, NIV, okay? For unto us a child is born. See, I'm talking about children, right? Children, okay? How do you want to live, Joe? Little Joe or little Joette? And what I mean Joette, I mean the girl, not Joe being a female, okay? Joe being a male, okay? And Jane being a female, okay? Which is, when you combine those two, that's mankind, which is the species called mankind, okay? So it says, for unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given. Okay, sonship. So this thing, mankind, is a family. Family. What do you think the word father and mother comes from? Family. Okay, that came from the Lord Creator and the King Christ. Okay, and he will be called a wonderful counselor. Okay, looking for a lawyer? You got law problems? See, I told you this was about laws. So if you're having a hard time in life and you're having problems with your mind, your finances, and all kind of things, it's because you're breaking laws, his laws, that are not supposed to be broken, right? He's not doing it. He just lays the laws out and says, follow this. You want to succeed. I want you to win because it reflects on me. Okay, just like a manufacturer creates a product, created this phone, the manufacturer, Samsung, put all the laws in this phone, and he gave me a manual, which is called the maker's mind. So he put laws in his phone, and if me, the consumer or prosumer, purchase this phone, I read the manufacturer's mind called the manual. If I follow the laws and taking care of this phone, it will last longer. Although the software messes up every time they do a software update. So I swear they want to put software updates and wear out the software of the phone. The phone is great, but it's the software that messes things up. So I go back and get another phone. But we all know that's true because that's how they make their money. So that's a scam in itself. But anyway. All right, getting off my soapbox. So wonderful counselor. You need a lawyer? Read the Kingdom Government Constitution and find out how you can become a citizen, a kingdom citizen, if you're not a citizen, okay? Because citizens have power. They got might, okay, according to the Constitution in this book. Now, if you're in a religion, if you're atheist, agnostic, and you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim or whatever religion you are, you're still welcome to, I want you here. But you're in trouble because religion is based upon works. Okay, based upon your ability. Well, guess what? Your ability, my ability, a lot of times is not enough. See, when you come to the end of yourself, when you come to a dead end, what can you do then? Right? You got to get somebody else to help you. Well, what if all of you that are working together, 5, 10, 15, 300,000 come to your end? Eventually you run out, right? Okay. You run to a dead end. Then what do? Okay. See, that's when you run to the end of yourself, and this is what I found out, then the king is there waiting for you so he can show you why you're here and why you're created. Those 5 questions I talked about earlier, okay? So wonderful counselor, lawyer, mighty God, everlasting father. So if you grew up and you don't know who your father is, I know who your heavenly father is, right? My dad is no longer here in the flesh, but I know who my heavenly father is. He's with me wherever I go. He's my shield. He's my buckler. He's my protector. He's my high tower, right? Okay. So he loves me. No matter if nobody on this planet loved me, he loves me and I love me, right? Because I know what he said about me. My image, I see myself how he sees me. Okay. See, that's how you don't need nobody in your corner, right? But when you're working your vision, listen, here's a tip. Here's what I learned from some of these people that used to mentor me, multi-millionaires. A lot of them knew who they were to a high degree. When you know who you are and whose you are, it doesn't matter. And you know that you're a king, right? And you know why you're here on this planet. And you know where you're going, right? You know your purpose. People will follow that vision, right? Just tell people about your vision. Don't worry about the people that don't want to come along your vision. I'm talking about a righteous vision. That's how you know it's from God. If you're running an unrighteous vision, right? If you're stealing, lying, cheating, murdering, destroying, you know that's not from the king, right? That's from his nemesis, which is an imp who is unemployed called Satan, formerly known as Lucifer, right? And he was as I said before last week, he was the head of the department, right? The ministry in his government of worship, right? Worship is not just song. Worship has to do with actions, right? Laws, obeying laws, okay? So I'm literally telling you how to succeed. I hope you're writing this down. I hope you're taking this, right? If you're failing in life, this is why you're failing, because you're ignoring the laws, right? And they're killing you. People perish because of lack of knowledge. You may not die instantly, but it's killing you, right? You know why? Because whatever you're if I take this phone right here and I throw it 50 feet in the air, what do you think is going to happen to this phone? I just violated the manufacturer's laws in this phone. It's going to crack, break. It's going to be done and over with, right? You put orange juice. I said this before. You put milk in your car, in your vehicle, right? If you take your watch and it's not water resistant and you go in the water with it, you're going to kill it. You're breaking the laws of the manufacturer, okay? It has no respect of a person's, right? If you're a saint in here, you're a kingdom citizen, you're an ambassador, and your name is written in the kingdom book of the census called the Lamb's Book of Life. But you can't figure out why you work for a sinner, right? Why your job that you go to, you're getting paid and you're not getting paid enough because no job pays you enough. I said no job pays you enough. I don't care if you're getting paid $10 million a year. Being your own boss, you can probably make 3 times that. Statistically, that's right. Okay, it's not enough. Okay, but he's your father. Okay, now check this out. Check this out. Prince of Peace. Okay, he's the prince. That means first. Prince of Peace. First of peace. So if you got a war going on inside your head, this is the most. This war right here. Even though there's been wars in the past, manufactured wars, probably all the way back, I did research, all the way back to the 1300s, all wars have been manufactured, right? You think there's one side or another, there's not. It's all an illusion, okay? It's all part of the Matrix. Go watch the Matrix, the first Matrix, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Keep watching it. Watch it once a month, and watch my YouTube podcast, and you'll start making the connections, okay? But Prince of Peace, right? The worst war is between your mind, okay? You know why? When you violate the manufacturer's laws, you being a product, mankind, right? Male plus female equals mankind, male or female, right? Plus female equals mankind, the species called mankind. If you're a male, if you're a female. I'm saying this over and over and over again, trying to indelibly imprint something into your mind. And you're going in the wrong direction. The cells in your body, listen to me, the cells in your body will react the wrong way. It's called stress. When you're traveling down the road and the light comes on your dashboard, listen to me, dear one. There's something wrong with the car, right? It's out of whack. You're breaking certain laws. If you're driving, okay? If you're traveling, excuse me, there's a difference between driving and traveling. Traveling is private, driving is public. But anyway, so if you're traveling down the road, right, and you're going in the wrong direction, right, there's a war that's coming, right? You're going to end up crashing into somebody. Somebody's going to crash into you. There's going to be a war with that, right? Okay. If there's a warrant for your arrest, right? What's the first 3 letters? War rant, right? They've declared a war on you. Okay, all right. So the Prince of Peace, but who wants to live in war their whole life? The point I'm trying to make is this: if you're resisting and you're violating the king's laws, his unseen laws and his natural laws, you're constantly going to be under pressure. You're constantly going to be stressed out. You won't be able to reach your potential. You'll die with the potential. Unfortunately, 80 to 90% of you looking at this podcast will die. Physically, I'm talking about. Hopefully not spiritually, because that's for eternity. Will die with all this potential, the seeds of potential still inside you. But if I can just convince 10% of you, 15% of you, I've done my job. Okay? I've done my work, rather. Okay? Your job is something you go to make money and pay your bills barely. Right? For most of you, barely. Probably for about 80% of you. Your work is something that's part of your gift. Your gift is your seed. Plant your seed in the right environment. This is one of the right environments. Reading books like this is one of the right environments. Okay? Magic of thinking big. Okay? Thinking big. Okay? Now, why did I bring up Isaiah 9, 6 through 7? Okay? Let me get to 7. Here's 7. Of the greatness of his government. I told you that the Bible, a kingdom government book, is not based upon Christianity. It's not about a religion. It's not about a democratic republic. It's about a government. Okay? Government. Sin. is not a religious word. It's not a Christian word. It's not a Muslim word. It's not any religion word. Okay? Sin is means it means anarchy. Okay? It means high treason. Okay? It means to miss the mark, right? You're not obeying his laws. Man, I wasn't planning on going down this, but somebody needs to hear this, right? Okay. So that's why I went to Isaiah to let you know this is about a government, right? So all my Muslim friends, Christian friends, Hindus, Buddhists, agnostics, you keep listening, keep listening. All my friends out there, keep listening. Oh yeah, I forgot to say this before. Shout out to my peoples in Alkebulan, right? That's what you want to call, I guess, Africa, but I don't say Africa, right? Because that means a horror. It means a freak, because the Romans named her that when they colonized her for a while. Okay, her name is Alkebulan. Okay, and she actually expanded into the Middle East, which is actually not a real territory. That was just named about 70, 80 years ago. That was Alkebulan also too. So shout out to my peoples in Alkebulan on the West Coast and the East Coast in Alkebulan. And even in the Midwest, I got some family, some lineage, some blood through there. Shout out to my peoples out there in Central and Eastern Asia. Got a bloodline going through there, through the Han Dynasty. Shout out to my people over there in Europe. Got another bloodline going through there. What up, what up? All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this on up. Okay, so now why not ask your child or children, if you're a teacher, how do you want to live, right? And let them write it down, right? Let them say, oh man, I want this type of house, and I want this over there. Just let them write it down. Let them just blab it out, right? That's going to give them an inkling of what their vision is. Why do you think they don't teach that? Why do you think teachers don't ask that in public schools? Because nobody asked that teacher, nobody asked that principal, how do you want to live, right? Why? Because the people, okay, let's get down to the grass tacks. Rockefellers, Nelson Rockefeller, 1953. That was the year both of my parents were born, okay? 6 months in, they got rid of this other lady. You know, they used her to kind of sell states to sign up under the federal government for this uniform standard thinking, right? Standardized testing. Nelson D. Rockefeller, you can look it up. I think it was Eldridge or something, Nelson Rockefeller, but he said that he wanted to change America's because this is their new world order, right? Europe was their old world order, right? Why do you think, what's his name? Gosh, he didn't discover America. He actually ended up in the Caribbeans. God, I wish that Spanish guy. Anyway. You know who I'm talking about. Said he discovered, but he ended up discovering the Caribbean, an island over there in the Caribbean. I think it was the Bahamas. But anyway, Nelson Rockefeller basically said that I'm going to shape the mind of all Americans back then, right? So to put them in a box, a prison, because the prison is in the mind, right? So they can't reach their potential, their hidden power, right? That's an atrocity to the king and the Lord and Creator. So if you're destroying yourself, you're destroying your potential and the people that you're supposed to affect in a positive way. If you have potential, but you're using it in an unrighteous way, right? You're breaking his laws, right? You're stealing, you're murdering, you're lying, you're cheating, you're deceiving, and everything you can think of. You're destroying people. You're also destroying yourself and other people. You're breaking his laws. In his laws, there are judgments, right? And then there's an eternal judgment with that, okay? Eventually, I'm gonna read that. I think I talked about that before, okay? Which means you're not a kingdom citizen, all right? But let me read you this, because I want to give you hope. I want to give you an avenue to repent. Repent is not a religious word. Repent means to change your thinking. I want you to take your thinking and make a U-turn. Not for my sake, because I've already won, whether you do anything or not. I'm trying to help you out so you can win, and the people that you influence around you, that you can win. So you can stop living under stress. Stress are caused by parasites, tumors, right? All that type of stuff. Cancer, right? All kind of things are caused by that. Not all of them, but a lot of them, right? If you never had a parasitic cleanse, you better get one, okay? Stop drinking out of bottled water because there's microplastics in there. They get caught up in your brain, right? Do a little bit of research on that, okay? Anyway, okay, let's read this and I'm done. Then God said, okay, let us. He's talking about the Trinity. Okay, he's one God, but he chooses to reveal himself in three. Okay, three. Why do you think the satanic occults copy that? Because Satan is copying, he's counterfeiting the kingdom he used to live in. Remember, he's an unemployed cherub, right? But he's very intelligent. Why? Because he just copied kingdom laws in his mind and just reversed them. Okay? This is where he gets people to reverse them, right? He catches them while they're spiritually dead, right? That they don't know, right? Because what did Adam do? Okay, let's go over this again. I'm going to keep going over this. What did Adam do? He rebelled. He sinned against the king, right? Okay? And so he basically cut the umbilical cord like a mother and a child. Cut it, right? He severed it and said, I'm independent. I'm going to capitalize on this, right? This is my planet. Ownership. That sound familiar in the Democratic Republic? Yes. Okay? All right. Let me go back here. Then God said, let us make or manufacture mankind in our image. That means to be moral. That means moral characteristics. Okay? Morally, you are like him, right? You don't have to be unrighteous, right? Most likely, you're either spiritually dead, you're not a citizen of the kingdom, right? You're not written in the census, the government census, right? And you're in the legal, that means you're attached to Satan, which you're spiritually dead, okay? And you know where that leads to, right? Something called hell, which is jail, right? That's just temporarily until you have to go before the judge, which is the king, Christ, anointed king, and you have to be sentenced to the lake of fire, which is in the heart of the earth. What do you think volcanoes, why do you think volcanoes erupt? Okay, that's just a side note. It's called the lake of fire, right? That's where prison is, okay? Anyway, so let us make mankind in our image and in our likeness. Likeness needs to function like. You are able to function like. Whether you're doing something right now unrighteously or righteously. Those aren't religious words. I repeat, righteous and unrighteous is not a religious word. Those are government words. They are law-based words. It means to be rightly aligned with the word. Rightly aligned with God's laws. Okay? The law of management. Whatever you mismanage, you're going to lose. If you're mismanaging your body, which is operated by your brain, you're going to lose the body. If you're mismanaging your mind, you're going to have mental health problems. If you're mismanaging your spirit, it means you didn't repent, you didn't change your thinking, you didn't do a U-turn. Then you end up in hell and eventually the lake of fire, right? So I'm here to help you to repent, turn around your thinking and ask for forgiveness. Yes, the cross is meaningful, but the gospel is not Calvary, okay? Calvary is not the gospel. Calvary is not the gospel. Calvary is part of the redemption plan. Okay? You don't sit at the cross. Okay? That was to go through, to get washed in the king's blood, because he was the only one that can be the eternal sacrifice, the mental sacrifice, the physical sacrifice. He is the creator. He's the one that can only do it. So he had to do it. He had to come in the form of flesh. I'm just giving you a quick one-on-one through a man. Right? A mankind, a female man, a woman, a male with a womb. That's what a female is. A man with a wombed man. The doorway to this planet, to this physical planet. Okay? Go back and listen to this 5 times and you'll get it. Listen to it 5 times and you'll get the concept. If not, listen to it 10 times. Okay? Now, so that they may rule. He's talking about us. This planet was given to us to manage. Okay? Why do you think it's all messed up? Drugs, violence, gangs, sex trafficking. Yes, through governments. This government, other governments, drugs, murder, kidnapping, everything, every bad thing you can think of. Look at all the statistics, right? Under a democracy. right? Under a democratic republic, right? Some people say, well, this is American republic. Same coin, different sides. Okay, one republic is through the Constitution, right? We elect people. Democracy is a mob rule. So they're all combined, they've intertwined, right? Secret societies and all this crap like that. Okay? So they may rule. So how do you want your kids to live? You want them to do the same unrighteous things that you're doing? You want them to die young? 50's young, 70's young. Heck, I think 95, 100's young. Who said you had to be sick and diseased to die? Sickness and disease, here's what I learned also too through a lot of reading. Sickness and disease doesn't kill you. It's the wearing out of the brain, of the engine of the brain, right? That's just part of it. That doesn't mention, I didn't even mention the part of the soul, which is part of your mind, right? Mind, will, emotions, intellect, that makes up your soul. That's the second part of your Trinity. Then you got the spirit, that's you, okay? So that messes up, right? So if all three of them are messed up, what do you think is going to happen? Because we're violating laws. This is what I had to learn the hard way, guys. Unfortunately, I came very close to being out of this body a few times because I was violating all these laws that was never taught, right? Until I finally said, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to find out. No matter what anybody else told me, school, government, mom, dad, whatever, anybody. I said, I'm going to find out. If you are who you say you are, King, Creator, reveal yourself to me. And that's what I did, right? The rest is history. Nothing can stop me. I'm going all the way up, right? Okay? So I'm wrapping up here, guys. I'm done. So it says, let us make mankind in our image and our likeness so that they may rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, livestock, and wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. You have power. See, in a religion, you have no power. If you're a member of a church, synagogue, or whatever, in a mosque or anything like that, you're a member, you have no power, right? But if you're a U.S. citizen, you have no power. Why? Because there's two of everything. Two of everything, okay? You have America, follow me now, the Republic, and she has a constitution, right? And then you have a U.S., the U.S. corporation, corporation. Look it up. Actually, it's White House Office Inc. You should be able to go to Dun and Bradstreet. Look it up, DUNN and Bradstreet. White House Office Inc. Right there in the District of Columbia. Right? If you put a zip code on your mail, outgoing mail, you're saying you're a corporate slave under the District of Columbia. Why do you think you receive your mail in black, all caps? They take away your potential. Satan did that. Okay. So what am I here to do? Again, I'm here to help you to repent, change your thinking. My gosh, the more you find out, the more you free your mind. And that's what they don't want you to do. Unplug from the matrix, people. Unplug from the matrix. Okay. If you don't want to, it's up to you. Okay. So you have power when you're a kingdom citizen. I have power according to the kingdom book called the Bible. So I know a lot of laws in there. That's why I'm succeeding. That's why I'm moving forward in every area of my life. Nowhere near perfect, will never be, but I'm progressing in that area. Sometimes they lag behind. I got to get back to the basics. But I'm moving forward, right? And I'm teaching other people how to move forward, okay? I'm taking an hour out of my life that I can't get back, right? To help people repent because somebody took time for me, okay? All right? So, kingdom citizenship, okay? Not religion, all right? So we're supposed to have power over what? This is leadership, over our area of gifting. Master your gift one at a time, okay? I got a cousin who mastered the violin. He still gets residuals today, 20, 30 years later, 40 years later, something like that, almost 40 years later, okay? 30 years later, still gets residuals, okay? He mastered the violin, okay? and became part of a well-known international group. All right. So whatever it is, poetry, if it, sports, whatever, you know, maybe you got a book you need to write. Okay. Maybe you have something you need to discover. Okay. Master that gift. Right. Some of you need to find that gift. Right. Go back to when you were younger. Okay. Remember what I said? That was a tip. Go back to when you were younger. Take time to think. Cut all the noise out. Okay. Cut all the noise out. Take time to think. Okay. Write stuff down. How do I want to live? Let's say you're 50. Let's say you're 70. How do I want to live? If you understand some of the stuff I'm teaching you to get serious about it, you make a decision, your next 5 years, you can achieve 10 times more than what you've achieved already up to now, trying to do it by yourself, almost killing yourself. Okay. Well, I make a lot of money. Who gives a rip? Money doesn't exist. Money is metaphysical. Money's attracted to thinking, right? Kingdom thinking. All right. So I'm done, guys. My question is, who are you really? Who are you really? Okay. I'm like this in public. I laugh. I joke around. I can get serious. All that type of stuff. I'm like this in public. You know what I'm saying? My helpmate should tell you I'm like this in public. So I'm done. Hopefully you wrote this stuff down. You guys have a great night. Remember what I always like to say. Your future is not ahead of you. It's trapped on the inside of you. Okay? In the form of a seed. And that seed needs to be put in the right environment. The most important real estate is the 6 inches between your ears. Right? Cap the negative. Put in the good stuff. Put in that kingdom constitution. Learn those laws. Learn the laws of management. Make up your bed. Wash your car. Clean the car out. You know, take something little by little. Listen to me, guys. I'm doing it myself. I'm not perfect at it. There's stuff I need to get situated in our first home, right? I need to do that. But I do it little by little, incrementally, okay? Before I'm trying to get my systems right, okay? Organization and stuff like that. But when you do that, when you add value by the law of management, you're going to attract resources, right? Why do you think the unrighteous? Why do you think the spiritually dead? I'm talking to the saints. I'm talking to the righteous people. I'm talking to the kingdom citizens. Listen to me. Why do you think you work for a sinner? Why does he cut your check or she cut your check? Because they're better managers than you. Why did the king tell you to go make yourselves friends to them? To find out what they know that you don't know. Stop quoting the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. I wouldn't quote that. Because that's saying that they are better managers than you, and it's true. Okay? So anyway, I'm done. Hopefully, I made you upset. Hopefully, I shocked you. Right? Hopefully, I shocked you. Right? Hopefully, I offended you. Offense means to shock, because that's my job, to wake you up. Right? Like I was woken up. Okay? I chose to be woken up. Right? You got to choose. Okay? So you guys have a great night. Take some time out for yourself. Move forward. 1 inch at a time. Talk to you guys next week. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Let's go. Next week, Kingdom Diplomat, episode 48, coming soon.